is more beautiful than I. All right? It's beautiful, and you'll see why I'm raving about it. But if you click on the mug, you can order it and get yours just in time for the weather to cool down. I hope it does over here, because I'm telling you, the weather is just friggin' hot. I'm out at 5 a.m. this morning cycling all the way up, from Euclid, which if you know Tampa Bay very well, down from Gandy, but I'm on Euclid. And I go all the way to Peter Knight Airport. When you got the humidity at like 90%, it says it's 75, but 90%. I mean, I guess, it's a few degrees cooler, but it could be doing better than that. I just look forward to, hopefully, a switcheroo when it comes to the temperatures. I am so envious of people in the Northeast, people up in Wisconsin, where that weather's, really in the 60s. I mean, man, that would just be awesome. But I can only wish, well, I chose to live here, so I shouldn't complain, because when you guys are freezing your butts off, we got T-shirts on most days, but it does get cool down here. It's like 60 degrees. We're reaching for like a sweater or a sweat jacket or something down here. It's because it's so darn humid. So if the humidity drops and the temperature drops, we're we're wimps down here. Your blood thins out. That's what happens when you're down here for so long. Kind of a weird turn of events here. It's got police kind of wondering what's going on here. Our shooter, Stephen Paddock, his house was vandalized, broken into. I guess they busted through the front door. The detectives were still unsure if multiple suspects were involved. Officer Tim Broadway of the Reno Police Department told the Reno Gazette-Journal, Broadway said the police were not immediately aware of anything taken or damage done to the retirement community home, but the FBI was notified of the breach. Well, that would be really stupid, because if they have any tape of anybody busted into that house, it's an FBI crime scene. I mean, you can get charged for criminal trespassing, but man, it's an FBI crime scene where that thing's, taped off. People, it's just a dumb thing. You get locked in. The feds will lock you up real quick. I'm sure they're going to be reviewing other tapes. Everybody's got a camera these days. I don't know what people are thinking, unless they got ski masks on and they blacked out or don't have any license tag that has any letters on it, numbers on it. But again, federal and local authorities stormed the home on October 3rd, 2 days after Paddock killed 58 people, firing down on the concert crowd from his hotel. They sweep the home, but it was still an active crime scene. So, again, the headline kind of caught my eye here. Las Vegas shooter's home broken into despite intense FBI police interest. The interest, obviously, is trying to figure out what was the motive. And like I've been saying for days, I feel like a broken record, like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. I just wish there was something new. But I think, one, my personal thoughts, because people ask me all the time what I think about it. Look, I'm not a shrink. But just like the FBI says, there was some kind of stressor. This guy was a ticking time bomb, in my opinion. Just by his behavior, the way he treated people, was not a nice guy, threw his weight around, kind of like this Weinstein guy, but more reclusive. Guy was well-to-do, but, treated his woman badly. He didn't know his neighbors. He put the blinds down, didn't want anybody looking at him. I mean, he just kind of lived a very reclusive lifestyle. I'm not saying all people that like to live in privacy, as the English call it, are going to be doing something stupid like that. So if you're reclusive, I'm not putting you in the same category. It's just he didn't treat people very nice at all, and he had some pretty oddball behaviors. And I'm looking at one of these houses that he had, and this guy is well-to-do, as they say it is. This Reno, Nevada house that was put out by the Associated Press does not look very impressive. I think the guns and the ammunition possibly may have been worth more than the home, but hey, some houses that I've seen, and then I'll see the sale price, and I'll say to myself, what the heck are they thinking? $250,000. I mean, I know that the houses are quite different out west compared to the East Coast. I mean, it's just like Tampa, Florida. Here we got some houses that are in the well-to-do areas, if you will, or they call them here in South Tampa. You'll see the house $350,000, and it's got 2 tiny closets. But because of the proximity, where it is, and the great school system, and even if they don't have kids that are going to school because of the area, you're going to pay for it. That's probably true just about anywhere. But man, an hour north, you get to have a mansion for that. Literally 18 rooms in Spring Hill. Or other places like that. I'm like, but maybe this guy was frugal. You think if he had that kind of money, he'd have a nicer house. It just seems like it's bare bones. Well, apparently he just spent more of his money on guns and really probably didn't care so much about the house or anything. I mean, it's okay. It's just, it's definitely not my, and what a scum. What a scum that did what he did. I really hope that there's a hot place in Satan's hell that Lord Almighty judged him quickly, threw him out, and said, "You're going to burn, baby, with Hitler." And people of that that do something that heinous. I just don't buy that the guy was nuts. Just had a short circuit because of his anti-anxiety medication. I don't buy it. I mean, come on. He must have been short-circuiting for some time on anti-anxiety medicine. The guy planned this. It was premeditated. 58 people injuring over 500 plus. The guy knew how to take these guns and make them into machine guns. When you hear that audio, I don't know about you, they've been running the heck out of it when you hear the rounds just going off and going off and going off. So remember, them bullets are going into people, going into human beings. They killed 58 people, injured so many folks. It's just unbelievable. I don't think too many people, too, after that, kind of be thinking twice about where they are in open areas. I'm sure you go to a concert, kind of look around, say, somebody got a good shot. And you're gonna be pretty uncomfortable. Think about anybody. There was 22,000 people that attended that concert. 22,000 people. That's a lot of people. And out of those 22,000, how many of the thousands do you think are going to be traumatized from that? A lot. I'm sure that shrinks counselors are working overtime to try to get people back to some kind of norm, but it's not going to be the same. It's definitely going to be a whole different kind of norm, that's for sure. My heart just goes out to the poor folks there that had to deal with that. I could not imagine having people just shot up. I mean, there was a couple military guys there. They said they've been overseas, and they didn't hear the ongoing, that many shots going on. They hear, chin, 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 a few shots, and that was it. But going on and on and on, I mean, it scared the crap out of them. Can you imagine being a world away, being in Fallujah, Iraq, and experiencing more rounds of ammunition? Because that's exactly what it sounded like. They were going, against the Taliban, like this is a terrorist that's, people thought that this guy was definitely with ISIS. That's why it's so weird, and ISIS taking responsibility. And even though they're getting their asses kicked, they still, have a presence in the Philippines, and where this guy did go and where he sent his woman away. It just, to me, it just, maybe it's just a coinkydink, one of those things. And maybe he planned it for them to just, take the attention off him as being a lone wolfer. And who knows what really inspired him? He may have been inspired. People say, well, what radicalized him? Maybe he was inspired by the things that ISIS did deep down in his heart. Who knows? I mean, some of these things that you don't even tell your best friend. And if he did, I hope to God that somebody would come forward. And I have a feeling that there's going to be more added. By the way, this week, the MGM, the owners there, they said that we can't buy the timeline that we're being served up about the security guard and the time lapse where the security officer, comes up to the 32nd floor, hears an alarm, and then gets shot where there's 200 rounds being fired at him. That story may not be true. Well, it's a heck of a statement. I'm sure the FBI is like, well, please fill us in. Do you have some information? I mean, they're at the MGM. They're not at the Mandalay. I mean, it's close by, but what do you know? Do you have more information? You have some eyewitnesses that saw something different? People in the hallway? Other footage that you reviewed before? I mean, it's one of those small towns. I mean, if you're in the casino business, information does travel fast. I mean, everybody kind of knows each other that's in the business. If you live there, you're doing business. These guys, they talk to each other. But I just thought that was an interesting revelation. That's what's being buzzed around. It'll be interesting. What I have not heard more of, but since the shooting just over, a week and a half ago, is about the security implementation of what they're going to do now moving forward with hotels with metal detectors. Because there's always somebody that says, hey, I'm going to outdo this guy. There's always copycats, and that's what's got FBI concerned, but we don't hear a lot of conversation. Even though Steve Wynn, he came out and said, just the day after that he's concerned for his hotels. And maybe we should be looking at, extra security precautions. I mean, wouldn't that just be the obvious? It doesn't take a Steve Wynn to think that. That's a kind of I don't know if he was just thinking out loud. It certainly wasn't the most brilliant statement. Oh, yeah, you're right, Steve Wynn. Oh, that's a really great idea. And I wonder if all his properties right now have that security precaution going on. I'm willing to bet you it doesn't. I wonder if he's throwing his money out there and then telling other hotels, let's do it as soon as possible. Let's have these security companies put it in. Anybody, we got to know, I don't care how much money they're putting on the tables, they're not getting in with any kind of weapon, anything that triggers the system. They're going to be checked for the safety of all guests in our hotels. See, it's a funny thing when it comes to money. Oh, we don't offend anybody. We want our guests to feel comfortable. You want them to be comfortable, or do you want them to be safe? Interesting. We'll have to see, and we will be monitoring it to find out. But you never forget that there is plenty of other people, and unfortunately, it's so true, of Stephen Paddocks that live in our country that have obsessed about things like this, that have thought about it. They see it and they think, oh my God, how sexy that is. It's sick. It's demented. It's normal people don't think thoughts like that. Not like that. And I don't care what Freud says about his sick writings about people's thoughts. I don't think that way. But there are people, and you see it, and just when you think that you haven't seen it all, we see it play out. And I'm in a position doing the talk show Monday through Friday, 2 hours a day, and been doing this for years. The amount of information, the stories that we cover, we talk about, it just seems like it's just way too often where we just get demented psychopaths. But that's what you get in a free, open society. Psychopaths, they live amongst the normal. And when I say normal, I mean don't want to go out and start killing people, hurting people, abusing people, going postal, all that kind of stuff. Going to work, going to the grocery store, not running people over, not drugging people. Normal. That's what I call normal.